Only thing that matters is the ending. It's the most important part of the story. And this one is very good. This one is perfect.
I'd been working with Columbia on a couple of movies, and the executive there had bought the novella and sent it over and said, "You should write and direct this." And I said, "Yes, you're right, I should." I guess I just really am drawn to guy in a house going crazy movies. The Tenant is obviously a great inspiration for this movie, and Rosemary's Baby, and a lot of Polanski stuff. I like somebody spending a lot of time in their home and then finding their home turning on them in a way. I like that kind of confinement.
Really, really freaked out, and brings in a private investigator.
Kind of an amazing coincidence, don't you think? The stories being so much alike.
Well, obviously the guy copied it from me. Would you like to choose a side before we continue?
I'm on your side, but I still need to know the truth. Which kind of situation is this? Johnny plays a writer, and I'm a friend of his who's an ex-policeman, but now I run my own private investigating firm and security firm. Is he a regular wacko like you've had before, in which case I can help? Or is this something you should be talking to your lawyer about? And Johnny has come to me before with other people, sort of fans, obsessive fans. But he convinces me that this is serious.
A struggle between these two guys. And then it's about how his asset, his imagination, becomes the thing he needs to use in order to commit murder. But we don't know that. The part of him that needs to come out to do that is this dark, awful part, and he imagines it as a wholly separate person. Because he knows that he himself can't kill, but that part of him can kill. So it's about, dual identity. The title, Secret Window, Secret Garden, is the title of the novella, and it's a beautiful title and perfectly apt, and would have worked great, but there is a well-known book and film called Secret Garden, so we just shortened it to Secret Window, which I think it conveys all that we need to convey as well. A secret window, in this case, into a different part of a guy's brain.
So I always thought of Secret Window, Secret Garden as that, the window to the self, the real you that's inside.
I think it's true that when somebody goes through a trauma, or suddenly their life gets turned upside down and they're forced to confront a kind of new beginning, and there's a lot of work to do and it's overwhelming, everybody has a window, and that window either leads you to a better place or it leads you to a really destructive place. And you make a choice. There's a great line that says, keep passing the open windows. Because you can make a choice to go through one of them, but you really don't know until you're on the other side where it takes you. So you got to learn a little bit about what it is you need before you choose the window. But most of the time, invariably, people will make a choice for their own secret window.
Ourselves. The only thing that made it work, I thought, was that he can't write. So then he has to do other things. So I wanted to dispense with the obligatory can't write sequence early on. Which I did in about 45 seconds, just to show it's not going anywhere. In fact, it's going in reverse. He has one paragraph of mediocre writing which he highlights and deletes, and that's the only writing you see in the movie. I guess I understood that feeling of living in your mind and trying to have it be as vivid as possible, and also the feeling when you're alone for a long time, it then becomes hard to relate to people. Ending work, because the big idea, the ending is different than it was in the novella.
It's the most important part of the story, the ending.
I think there's an implication that Shooter may have been real. Amy finds his hat in the trash with a note from Shooter. So we wonder if he was a phantom or really existed, or what the story was. Stephen King has the best writing deal in the world in that he has all the approvals and all the controls over every step of the production, really, but he doesn't use any of them. He says it's only for nightmare scenarios, only if he sees something horrible going wrong. But he wants you to go make your movie. He understands that, they're different media, books and movies, and just as he had to have freedom to write his book, you need to have freedom to make your movie. So he read the script and had some suggestions, and that was great. And then he watched an early cut of the movie and had some suggestions, and mostly he just wished us well and let us, go do our thing. Casting's exciting but excruciating because so much can go so wrong. Those early decisions you make really determine the outcome of your movie to a huge degree. I think once the script is written and cast, throughout the course of making the movie, your decisions get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. until you're just finally saying, try 2 frames less, try 2 frames more. But those first decisions about casting your leads are huge, and if you miss by this much, it's like a moonshot, you know, a tiny little misadjustment at the beginning, and you miss the moon by 10,000 miles. I didn't have him in mind from early on, because I actually try very hard to keep actors out of my mind when I'm writing, because I think that you're going to be tailoring your stuff to the performer soon enough anyway. Might as well let the character just be the character for a while. So Johnny just sort of popped up, but that was abnormal. John, of course, is a great actor, and you know, as soon as his name came up, I was very excited.
What's the real reason I come for?
Movie on. You know, a triangle is the most stable plane in geometry, and it's a perfect basis for a movie. You know, you deconstruct any of the greatest movies. If it's not a love triangle, it's a triangle of some kind or another. 3 is a number that really works, and because everybody's motivations are so perfectly understandable. Mort's clearly jealousy and rage. Amy's, you know, feelings of abandonment and longing.
So I read the script and I was so riveted because I had no idea how it was going to turn out in the end. So it really kept me turning the page.
Maria Bello is a terrific actress who I've wanted to work with for a while, and when we first started casting that, I looked at a list and said, oh, Maria Bello, perfect.
I met David in New York in February, I think. I took the train up and it was snowing and it was a big nightmare, and I walked into his office and I was like, I love your script, I'd love to do this. and that was about it. We had just such a terrific meeting, and really were on the same page in terms of this character and how she could serve the story.
I'm taken by how much she's enjoying the physical part of it, because there's a part of the movie where it becomes really active in a lot of, you know, stunt work and, well, violence. And Maria hadn't done that in a movie before, and she really loved it and wanted to do a lot of the stuff herself. I think it's easier because you calm down a little bit. I think directing gets harder as you do it more, because you realize how much more you could do. You know, when you first start out, you think, this is easy. You put the camera here, you shoot the thing, and then you realize, well, yes, but if you looked for a better location, if you'd moved the camera, you know, you realize there's just so much more you can do all the time to help. But with actors, I think that if you become more confident, you calm down with actors and you don't feel threatened by them. And you want their ideas. If they don't work for the movie, you know, you'll talk them out of them, or bad ideas will sink under their own weight. I like to give them as much rope as possible, and if they hang themselves with it, that's okay, we'll figure something else out. So I like to keep it pretty loose, and I think I did.